Cameras, microphones, lighting. What type of equipment should you be getting? It's so confusing. There's things for beginners as well as creators, as well as pros. Well, join me today as I talk with Zach Mitchem as we chat about the best YouTube podcast gear for creators and beginners. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Creator Tips, Tools, and Tales live show. Welcome to everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. My name is Fanny Dunnigan. I'm a LinkedIn content strategist. And every other week, I come to you live, as well as for those of you watching the replay. And I highlight different content creators across different industries, different platforms, and showcase their tips, tales, and tools for you so that you can build your content and build your brand and become an authority in your area and industry. And then I have the show notes ready for you guys. So Anne has already put the link in the comments earlier. If not, they will go up again later after the show. But this is where you will see the notes and my content tip of the week, as well as upcoming guests. Shout out to Dolores. Hey, good to see you out there. And I see Chris Hennessy, another live stream enthusiast. So make sure you guys connect with them. Debbie Saviano. There we go. Make sure you connect with her as well. Okay, so let's get to the content tip of the week. So this week, I want to give a very, very special shout out to one of my connections that sent me an amazing book. And she is with Forbes Books. Her name is Natasha Wallstra. I hope I pronounced that right, Natasha. She sent me this amazing book called Authority Marketing. And you all have to check it out. If you're interested in building your authority, building your thought leadership, building your brand, especially through books, through writing a book, through setting up your authorship, thought leadership, this has been, I'm still in the middle of it, but I really wanted to share with you about that. Authority Marketing. It's a really amazing book. We're going to drop a link to the Amazon link that we've created so that you can get you could purchase a copy of it if you're interested. But Natasha introduced me to it because she and I were talking about writing a book and talking about all about why it's so important to build authority, build your thought leadership, build your brand. So for those of you that have the show notes, this is what it looks like there, authority marketing. And I'm going to talk all about the 4 pillars of authority. And obviously this is just a quick summary, but I really found it fascinating because one of the things they say is authority marketing builds your visibility and credibility in your field and uses that thought leadership as a way to drive business and make a bigger impact. We all know that we buy from people, not logos, right? So the more you can make your brand stand out, build your content, build all these things around you, then the more you can stand out and people become and learn to like, know, and trust you. So the 4 pillars of authority that I want to share with you today is number 1, how to build your authority through branding and omnipresence. So setting up your brand, becoming well-known across all different platforms. One of the cool little tricks in there that they mention in the book is to, at the very least, buy the domain name for your name. right? Your personal brand. So I actually looked it up. I looked up Fanny Dunnigan and it's not taken. So don't anybody take it. But the book really highly recommends that you buy up the domain of your name so that you can own the brand around that. Number 2, it talks about how to create tons of content. Use content marketing to help build your authority and create content across different platforms and different social media to really build your brand and build up your authority and become a thought leader in your industry. Number 3, get into media, be highlighted on the news, get a public relations professional to help you. Really get into the PR and media world to build up your authority. And number 4, speaking engagements. We all know that when we see people speaking up on stage, it sets them up as the authority. The audience member wants to seek them out and talk to them, and it becomes more of a solution and advice giving rather than this hard selling that we see. So very important to also start to gain speaking engagements if you want to build your authority. So those are the 4 pillars of authority. I went through that really quick. I'm still learning myself. Make sure you go get this book. Thank you, Natasha, for sending it to me, 4 books. And you'll see the link in the comments to connect with Natasha. She's an amazing person. I had a wonderful chat with her, super easy to chat with, and very knowledgeable. So that's it. That's the content tip of the week. So I now want to get to the star of the show, our guest, Zach Mitchem. Zach, I am going to bring you on the show. Welcome, Zach. We are going to talk
Good to be
all about gear and video podcasting. Welcome,
excited.
Zach.
Thank you. Got all my toys out on the desk.
I know. I love it. But before we do that, I do want to share with people. So Zach is a YouTube podcast strategist, and his goal is branding with video podcasts, right? So I just talked about authority marketing and building authority. So important. And one of the ways you could do that is through video podcasts. But he's there to help you use YouTube to conquer your goals, gain authority through that method. And but before we even do that, I wanted to kind of bring him on to show us all kinds of gear and toys. But Zach, tell people, how did you get to this point? How did you become this YouTube strategist?
It was very much accidentally on purpose. I tell people I'm going to write a book called that one day because I was actually going to PA school. I wasn't ever planning on this, and worked with a couple of YouTubers and just had some mentors that kind of brought me along that way. I've always loved video. First YouTube video I ever shot was in 2008, actually. Didn't post it, but I recorded it. But I had a mentor and good friend now that let me kind of write blog articles for him. I worked with a couple of other YouTubers, and when the pandemic hit, I was like, okay, I've studied YouTube. I worked with YouTubers. I'm just going to go all in, spent a few $1,000s on courses and some gear and things like that. And I made a good amount of money really quickly. It was like $15,000 with 800 subscribers on YouTube that first 10 months. And so I was like, I've got this is a thing. Like my buddy was making a lot more, but it's like, I can do this. There's something here, and kind of been all in ever since.
That's awesome. And why YouTube? Of all the channels you could have built, why YouTube?
So YouTube has some unique strengths about it. Like if you look at, for example, podcasts are great because people they stay there. They're very interactive with it as far as if they start, they're going to finish. They can't comment. They can't, do some of these other things. And it's really hard to get your content discovered there. On YouTube, YouTube is proactively, recommending people to watch your videos. You can be found in search. I don't recommend you try to get found in search, but you can be found in search. You can create things that fit a podcast. You can create how-tos. You can create, content that you would maybe for mentors or mentees rather. So there's so many different things that you can create there, and so many ways to monetize. Like it just takes in all the good of every platform that I've seen. and allows you to really build a business. If you only focused on one platform, you could build an incredibly profitable business with just YouTube.
Absolutely. And for those of you out there, here is Zach's YouTube channel. One of the things I could give you kudos, Zach, because you get some amazing guests. Okay. You obviously have Christo, both which he was also on my show, and we both love Christo, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing creator. But you also had Evan Carmichael, phenomenal episode. You all have to check that out on Zach's feed. He also talked about building thought leadership. So you can find his channel here, Zach Mitchem. We are video creators, video makers. Let me take that back. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so let's get to it. Let's get to the show and tell, because I know lots of people are interested in
I'm excited.
Your toys. Okay, so obviously video, number one thing we need, camera, right? Camera. Talk to us about camera. I'm going to make a wide angle here.
Yep, sounds good. So number one thing that this is always the first question that comes up. So, okay, I'm going to do YouTube. What camera do I get? I don't recommend you start with the camera, but we are going to answer this question. But I want you to know that there's a couple of reasons why I don't recommend this. Number one, when you're recording, your smartphone is the beginner camera. It really, really is. The problem is a lot of people just turn it on and film. If you get some of these other things right, your phone can look not quite as good as a high-end camera, but so much so that I had people that had $4,000 camera setups, and I was, on conference calls with my iPhone, and they were asking me what setup I was using because I got some of the other key things right that, the camera in my pocket looked amazing. And so I always recommend starting with your phone. Don't go buy something. If you're going to buy a camera, it better make your smartphone look bad. And the problem with that is in order to do that, you have to spend a good amount of money. It's not cheap to get a camera that looks better than your smartphone because smartphones have come a really long way.
And I have a iPhone 13 Max, Pro Max, and they have that cinematic where you can have blurry background from a phone. It's quite amazing.
Absolutely. And the other thing, we're live streaming now. So it's one of the questions I get is, well, I can't live stream with my phone, but Elgato makes Epoch Cam. It's a $6 app. They have a free version. I pay for the $6 one because it's cheap, but it'll turn your phone into a webcam. And so you can get that. It can create amazing quality. You've already paid for this camera, and you don't have to upgrade anything else. You do need to get your lighting and your audio right for it to look the best that it can, but you're going to have to do that with a normal camera anyway. So, use what you have, practice that way, and don't get frustrated with a camera that's more complicated before you get some of the basics down.
Okay. So that's kind of like the so-called beginner, even though it's very high quality. Everyone has a smartphone. Okay. Medium option.
Medium option. So this doesn't look like a medium option because I have an expensive lens on it, but I'm going to pop the lens off really quickly. So this, I've recommended several beginner cameras. This is the one I have the most experience with. So I feel weird suggesting some other cameras. I can absolutely do that if someone's curious. But this is the Fuji XS10, and the body of it's $1,000. So it's not inexpensive. It's not cheap, but the quality, what you get for that $1,000, this is more like a $1,500 or $1,800 camera as far as video quality goes. So this is absolutely my favorite. If kind of that starter actually getting a camera. Again, we're buying something that makes our phones look bad. Lenses for this, you're going to have to buy a lens as well. So it's not just $1,000. You need a lens, you need memory cards, you need a few things. So you're going to want to make sure you're ready for this. That's why we use our phone. I don't have the lens that I would recommend for you, but it is the Sigma 16 millimeter. They make that for Fuji. That is about $400. So you're going to be about $1,500, $1,600 for a medium range camera. I don't recommend big lenses like this because they're about that by themselves. But the reason I recommend that is, go ahead.
Zach, sorry. A lot of people want to know that app name again that can convert your phone into a webcam.
Yep, it's Epoch Cam. So EPOCCAM, I believe. I can look it up if that doesn't work, but Epoch Cam by
Our
Elgato.
Amazing community managers and producer will find it for everyone. Awesome. Okay. And actually, even so mine, I use Sony A6400.
There you go. That's a great one.
With that
Yeah.
same lens that
The,
the one, what did
the
you say?
Sigma. Yeah, Sigma
Yes,
16 millimeter. Yeah, Sigma
that's it.
they make it for multiple cameras. Fuji
Yeah,
for the longest time said no. This year they finally said yes. So you can get
yeah.
a less expensive lens because Fuji lenses are very expensive.
And my
So
camera was 600.
yeah, there
So
you go.
not
And
too bad.
you
Yeah.
can buy used ones. Like that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Don't think you have to buy new. I prefer to buy new because I know I'm going to use it for so long with camera stuff. But again, you don't have to. But yeah, A6400 from Sony is amazing. And there's the EV10 from Sony as well that I've seen a lot of people like because it is very web friendly. So if you want it as a webcam and you want it to just kind of sit there and not have to move it, Sony EV10 is also a good option. But I
There
like
it
the
is from
colors. Yeah.
Anne. Anne
There you
got
go.
it.
Perfect. There you go.
Epoch Cam is the
Epoch
app
Cam.
to convert your iPhone to for live streaming. Awesome.
There you go.
Okay, now for the super creators out there, I see Gabe out there. The pros, what would you recommend?
The pros, I'm going to see if I can. It doesn't look like I can share my screen. I have my Fuji X-H2S. That is by far my favorite camera. The body of the camera by itself is $2,500. So this is you want the highest end. This compares to like a $4,000 or $5,000 camera as far as the capability. So it's a good value, but it is very expensive. So that's actually
Say
what
it
you're
one
seeing
more
here.
time.
Yeah. So
Fuji.
Fuji, it's X-H2S. So I did a video on this on my YouTube channel. I was actually trying to pull up that so I can just share at least so you can see what it looks like. But
Oh, yes. If you paste in the private chat, I'll bring it in.
yeah. All right.
There's also a button in there right in the middle, share screen if you want. That'll also work. Okay, while we're doing that, I see lots of questions coming in. We're going to wrap up the camera section and bring some of your questions in. Okay, here we go.
All right, so there's the X-H2S. File sizes aren't any bigger. So when I'm using I have the XS10 down here, but this one, if I'll type this link in so you guys can see it, but it's an incredible camera. Unless you're upgrading from something that's at least $1,000, I don't think you need to jump that far. Or if you're going to do this professionally, if you're going to do a little bit more than just for your business, I would recommend XS10. This will get you what you need forever, basically, unless you really are like, hey, I want to change the colors and I want to make this look really, really special. So yeah.
Okay, let's get to a few questions.
Let's do it.
Well, Florence is giving you some kudos for your amazing background. At this time, she's using her phone and 2 desk lamps from Walmart. What should be my first piece of equipment to buy to create content?
Yes. So I would want to know what microphone she's using. My number one investment is your microphone. If you say I have $500 budget, most of that I would spend on a microphone because the sound is the most important part as far as people listening to you. For most people, and assuming in this audience, if you're creating video, you're teaching something, trying to make a change, you're trying to build your business, the type of content that you're going to create is going to require that your microphone be good. Cameras and all this other stuff, it does matter, but it doesn't matter as much as you think it does. If you want to be a cinematic YouTube content creator, yes, it matters. But if you're teaching something, if you're giving value, building your business, helping clients, the value is the content that you're teaching, that you're saying. And as long as it looks decent enough and sounds decent enough, people are going to listen and watch. The rest is just kind of practice. So microphone, 100% would be my first buy there.
Awesome. We didn't, and we'll get to the microphones in just a sec, but this is a good question, Ashley, from Gabe, the pro, one of the pros in our community here. What are your opinions on headphones, over the ear versus inner ear versus Bluetooth?
Yes, that's a good question. I think for me, my preference is over the ear headphones. I did not know this about myself, but I would very much consider myself an audiophile just by how I hear things. I do have Asperger's, and so that's form of autism. Noises can be triggering, and so I I'm very sensitive to sound quality. So these headphones, I don't think I would recommend anyone purchase them in this group. Maybe you want to, but they are $700 headphones. But it is very hard for me to listen to things for a long time if it doesn't sound good. So I do have a couple of sets here. This is also by Clear, the same company. These are Enduros. And then I have the AirPod Max from Apple. Again, they're all over ear. I do have some inner ear ones, but I don't ever use them for streaming or for any of my videos, anything like that. I very much prefer the over the ear. So hopefully that's a sufficient answer.
And then as a girl, I just do the earbuds because I don't want to mess up my hair.
I know I had a couple of guests on. They have like clear ones that go behind their back, so you can't see them all. So like there are people that's important.
I need
and if
to
that's
check
important
that
to you, then yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's get to sound. Microphone, low end. What do you recommend?
So low end, this is going to depend on what you're doing. So there are a couple of things that you can do. Some people, they don't like the microphone to be on screen. So if you don't like the microphone to be on screen, the Deity D3 Pro is my favorite, because what you would do with this is you would either get it just out of screen here, so it's close enough that I can catch sound, or I can mount it just behind my camera. And so this is great because if you're traveling or if you're recording something elsewhere, this can come with you super, super easily. I've used this on corporate. I used to shoot some corporate recruiting videos, just going interviewing staff and getting a video out so that hiring has some content to share. This is what I would use for that. So it's very versatile. But if you want something that's on your desk and it's going to sound a bit better, because bigger microphones like this are going to sound better. Heil is my favorite microphone company. One thing I would suggest you look for. You don't have to.
Spell that for us.
Yes,
Spell Heil.
Heil. Yep.
Thank you.
I can show you there. If we can get it to not focus on my face. There you go. This is a PR22. This isn't my favorite of theirs for sound, but it's about $120. It does reject noise really, really well. That's part of why I like it. So if you have kids running around, might not totally silence them, but it's going to do a really, really good job that way. So I do like this. One downside here is that you do have to have XLR, which I have a cable here somewhere. Actually, I probably moved it. It will plug directly into your computer if you get the right cable, but it doesn't come with the cable you need there. So if you don't want to have to figure that out, I have another option right here.
Yeah, because I still have like a USB.
Yes. So this is USB right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this one will do both. So if you want to do XLR, you can. This is the Samson. So SAMSON Q9U. And this is also a dynamic microphone. So it'll work both. When it's in USB, it's a little quiet, so you kind of have to turn it up a little bit. But this you can put on a stand like this guy right here, just on your desk. I have two boom arms on here because this is what I do. But this also sounds incredibly good. So this one I believe is also $120, and you don't have to buy an XLR cable to be able to make it connect. So Annie asked, and I said the beginner setup's about $200. About 120 here. You already have your phone. You need $6 app. So it's kind of how we get there. We have one more thing you'll need to get, but that just depends. Awesome. It's any of these three. It's what I would say for beginner microphones. And we're over $100, but sound is that important.
Yeah. It is. It's like we can almost put up with a fuzzy, grainy video, but if it sounds off, it's like irritating in the ear, right?
Yes, absolutely. And especially if you're creating content to educate, you want to be like, these are going to be longer videos. Live streams are longer videos. And so people are only going to listen so long if it doesn't sound good.
Real quick, I saw Jada had a question. That app you recommended was iPhone. Anything for Android?
Oh, I didn't know it was only for iPhone. No. I think someone else recommended another one, but the name of it, I can't remember off the top of my head. And I do only use iPhone. So I probably don't have a good suggestion, but
once you go Mac, you don't go back.
Seriously though, like it's an addiction.
I'm like that. Guilty. And let's see here real quick. Let's get to some questions before we go to lighting.
We've got mid-grade microphones and then advanced microphones as well.
Okay.
Yes.
We still have that.
We still have that. If there are questions, though, we can do that.
Real quick, just let's see here. Someone asked if they've missed the part about lighting. No, lighting is still coming up. Okay, let's move on to the mid and expensive microphones.
All right. So mid-end microphones, again, it's going to depend on what you're doing. I would suggest you look for a dynamic microphone for your desk. So this one, again, is Heil. I have 7 microphones from them. I love them. This is PR37. They look very similar. So you're going to say, okay, why would I? This one's, I believe, 270, and the other one was 120. But this one, if you hear the rich sound that's coming out of the microphone that I have now, this one sounds very, very similar, but it's a lot less expensive. So this one, I call it the sleeper podcast microphone because it doesn't look like it would sound incredible, but it's absolutely phenomenal. In fact, do you want me to plug it in real quick? I just need to mute and I can plug it in and give you a sound sample.
Go for it. Yes. Okay. And then Debbie, we will get to your question next because I have a Yeti as well. So we would love to have Zach compare like USB mics to XLR mics too.
Yeah, we can do that. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. So it's a little different of a sound, but I like
not
it a
as
lot.
deep, but
not as deep.
Still good. Yeah.
But it's still, I'm trying to remember if this one does as well. Can you hear me snapping?
A little bit, yes.
Okay. So it rejects noise really well. So my AC is running right now. I'm pretty sure you can't hear that.
I cannot hear the AC.
Yeah. So those are, if you have the problem with most USB microphones, in fact, I have one that I thought about bringing out for the beginner, but they pick up sound really well from outside. And that's one of the problems. If it's a condenser is the word you want to look for, means it's electric essentially, and it's very sensitive, which is good for what you need. But most of the time you don't have a setup that allows you to really use it well. So dynamic is what I would go with.
Yeah. And I think I do notice that sometimes, I think because my rug is not as thick, there is a bit of an echo. Do you hear a little bit of a hollow sound in my audio?
A little bit. I think honestly, if you had a dynamic mic, it would fix that. I have $1,000 worth of sound treatment in here because I had a condenser microphone, a high-end one. And I noticed that with the dynamic, I probably could have gotten away with either. I
feel like I need a bigger desk if I go dynamic mic, just for all the like actual equipment and everything.
Yeah, because one thing you will probably want an audio interface to be able to connect this to. You can, however, I had a cable out to show you, but it just goes XLR and it goes straight into your computer. I haven't tested it that way without having the audio interface because I always use it. But that might be an option. I'll have to test that out and see how that works. I don't think you have to go crazy. My audio interface that I have it's about this big. It's a little tiny. I do have other things attached, so it makes it look big over there. But if you get the right things, it doesn't make it a crazy setup. So,
got it.
But it's all depends on what you want.
Here's one because from Jeremy, this is a good question. Just going back to the visual side of things, what's your take on using iPads for doing videos and lives?
Oh, okay. So my thought there is the camera. I'm not an expert on iPads. I don't have an iPad actually. I don't think it's as good of quality as your iPhone. I think they've spent a lot more time that way. I could be wrong. If it's the same camera, go for it. You can actually get like, what's it called? Filmic Pro is an app for iPhones. And it allows you to change some of the settings so you can get a little bit better quality that way. But yeah, if the cameras are as good, which I can't remember if they are,
they're not. I do use a iPad sometimes. So sometimes when I live stream at a physical event, I will have an iPad at the back of the room just to kind of capture audience reactions and the whole lay of the land. And it's not as sharp, the iPad. So, but for something like that, like where the guest is speaking at the front and that has the sharp camera, and then back of the room, an iPad is fine, I think, or an iPhone at the back.
Yeah, and I actually use my iPhone as a third angle sometimes. So I think I still use it even with the crazy camera setup that I have. So it's
Okay, I
definitely a good
see you
option.
pulling out the big boy. Let's
So
see
this
what
is
this
actually
is.
still an intermediate option. So
Oh my
this
God.
is this is called the Fin. You might recognize this from what's the movie Hunger Games. There it's different color on Hunger
Oh
Games, but
yes, when they're at the
this
podium
is
and she's
yes,
announcing
yep.
the
So
poor
this guy
soul.
is. It sounds like old school radio. So one of the things I'm a fan of is using your microphone look and sound to accentuate the style of show that you want. So this is a very unique look. This lights up inside, so it's blue, and then it sounds very unique. So actually, forget I have to put it on a different stand to be able to give you sound sample. I'll plug it in and hold it real quick because it sounds like old time radio. Not everyone's favorite, but some people prefer it. So I'll mute real quick.
Okay, and while he's doing that, let's see in the chat what we got
Can you hear
here.
me?
Yes. Oh,
Is that working? So it's
say that again. Yes.
yeah. So it's a different sound. And they're all made by the same company, but they're very good at making different style of microphones for different needs. And so I like this one a lot. It's not my favorite, but some people really love
It's
it.
almost like each microphone has its own personality.
Exactly. Yep.
And then
And
you just match up the microphone personality with yours or something, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. That's why
And
I've had
that
the
one looks
blackout
very
one.
vintage too. So
Yes.
it's like
Yeah.
you almost see like Elvis Presley croning into
Yes. And they have like chrome versions, and I just like black and blue because that's how my setup is. But yeah, so there's that option. This one it's in the $250 range, I believe. So
Awesome.
again, so pricey, but it's really good sound, and it's a tank. You could probably knock somebody out with this thing.
I saw the box. Show people the box again.
It came in this box. I actually did a video of a podcast studio in a box. I just took the like stuffing out of this and I put a 2 microphone setup in here and unpacked it, and it went on Instagram. It went like 120,000 accounts. Like it just kind of went crazy. I thought it was just fun, but like, yeah, I've never had a microphone come in a box like this.
Now, Zach, I know you have a high option, but I'm just watching the time. So let's put a pin in the high option for the microphone, and let's go to lighting.
Okay, let's do it.
So lighting, this is the one I struggle with.
Okay, this one is the difficult one.
Yes. And here's an example. I once talked to a food photographer.
Okay.
And they said all those Chef's Table on Netflix, the documentary of food and like all that. I'm like, how do they make it so like delicious looking and like appealing? And whereas like I take out my iPhone at a restaurant and it looks like crap. And they're like, it's all lighting, Fanny. It's all lighting. So let's talk about lighting. Okay. Low end.
So low end lighting. So super low end lighting, free lighting. If you have a window off to the side about 45 degrees, you can make that work well. I would maybe pull like a sheer curtain over it, something like that. A lot of YouTuber creators actually just use windows. It's going, time of day where you live, all that's going to affect it, but that can be a really great option. And again, you can't move the light. You have to learn how to use the light from where it is, and you learn a lot of things with that. So it's a good option if you can't spend money on this. One thing I will say, always turn off any overhead lights. You never want overhead lights, even with a window. That's one of the biggest mistakes because you get shadows, you get weird things going on. Beginner lighting, I have this guy here. There's a few versions of this, but essentially this is just a little portable LED light and a desk mount. And so this one's a little more of an expensive one. It's RGB, so it turns every color. But you can get one of these for $40 or $50. You can get a ring light on Amazon for $40 or $50, and then a little desk mount, which is $20 or $30. So that's the beginner option here.
What brand is that, Zach?
So this one's Small Rig. This is the mount, and then this light is Weelite, WEEYLITE. Kind of weird. I do also have some light, like a light kit from Aperture. Theirs are not as inexpensive. But they kind of sync up and they do some cool things. This would be like a medium level. I wouldn't suggest this unless you're using it for other things as well. But it's the same thing. I have 4 of them, and these are very bright, but they do kind of the same thing. So something a little light here. You want it up off to the side. You can see how bright that is. It's because my light's right here. That's where you want it. No overhead light, something over here. If you have like a little lamp or something you put in the background, that's what I would do for low end. For medium end,
real quick, Zach, just one question, even as I'm thinking about it. What is your thoughts about like lights that are like right in front of your face, which a lot of ring lights are, versus like 45 degrees on either side?
Yeah. So my light here, as you like, I'm touching it right now. Like it is right there in my face.
Maximize you. Show that again.
Yeah. So right here, let's see. I can't quite get it on camera, but it's right here. And it's huge. It's a 36-inch across light. But it's really soft. It has a really big, it's called a soft box, and it extends out like 2.5 feet. That's essential soft light. That's why I said the sheer curtain. If you're going to do that with these, the problem a lot of people get is you turn it too bright and it doesn't soften the light. In fact, if I can turn it on, maybe give you an example, but this is where like technique comes in. You see how sharp these shadows are and how it looks worse now rather than better. It's because it's too bright. It's not soft enough. So ring lights are a decent option with that, but lighting is the hardest thing to get right. You just want to play with it. You don't need to go crazy with it. But to answer your question, right by you can work. It just depends on.
So better to have it on an angle.
Yes, I wouldn't do straight because you can. That's why you see beauty creators having the ring light right in front of them. It flattens your face. That's called beauty lighting. If I turn to the side, I get more shadows. It's more of a cinematic look. Lighting's fun. You get to play with it, but make sure you do play with it and get it
fun when you know what you're doing.
Or frustrating, even if you know what you're doing.
Real quick, this is a great question from Andrea.
Yes.
Okay, Andrea Lewis. Glasses and reflections. What can we do about it, Zach?
All right. See if I can get my glasses on with these ridiculous headphones. You see I don't have any glare here. The reason I don't have glare is because the light is 45 degrees over and 45 degrees up. If I turn, you'll start to see it. But the problem is a lot of people put their lights directly in front of them. And so instead of casting light here and reflecting off this way, it reflects back at the camera. So you just need to
you
turn
just
it
said
off to the
something
side.
really important there. Okay. It's not just about 45 degrees across. It's 45 degrees from above too.
Yep.
So like it's kind of like that.
Yep. So if I go out here
down,
and then up, I'm looking directly at my light now.
Got it. Okay.
Yep,
and then that's how you don't have reflections.
Yep.
Awesome. Real quick, just a quick question from Gabe. I like this question. Back to microphones real quick. What are your thoughts of using a windscreen or pop filter for your microphones?
If you need it, absolutely. I think this one will pop if I turn towards it. So I have it pointed at the corner of my mouth and I try to keep it above my nose so that if I breathe, you don't hear it. It's a little bit about technique. Now, there are like this microphone. This was one of the high-end ones that we didn't cover. It's a condenser microphone, so it's really sensitive. So a pop filter for this would absolutely be a good option. I could use one for this as well. I would practice and try to get rid of the plosives or the P sounds and the whooshing of the wind when you're talking. I would try to get it sorted that way before I would buy that. You can absolutely do it. It does make things easier, but I don't love the way they look. So I'm more okay trying to figure out a way not to use them.
And I've seen this question across several feeds. Everybody loves how you sound. Giles asks, what are you using right now?
Yes. So this is, again, Heil. This is the PR40. This is my favorite microphone. This was the microphone I used for a long time. I still use it. I love it, but for I like the podcast sound, and this does it really, really well.
It's very rich, Zach. So like when you talk, it's just like, it's almost like, it's like you're right in my ear. Yeah. Telling me a bedtime story or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Spell that again, because I know several people.
So HEIL and then PR and the number 40. It doesn't come with this shock mount here. That's something I got on extra, but yeah, it's a wonderful microphone.
Heil PR40.
40.
HEIL.
Microphone names are terrible. They're terrible.
We almost need to bring you back and do your live selling show.
Yes. Go on Amazon Live.
Okay, so final lighting.
Yes.
High,
So
right? Or
mid-grade
medium?
lighting.
Mid-grade.
There's two options. Neewer, so Neewer. They make a 480. You can get two of them for $180. These are the GVM 50 RS. All these names are terrible. I'm sorry. But these are RGB lights. So they change any color you want: red, green, blue, white, yellow, anything you want. And you can get two of these for about $250. So I recommend having your key light here if we're going mid-grade, and then having a light. It's the same thing. It's not quite 45 degrees back. It's just behind my shoulder, but it is 45 degrees up, and you can see it just gives me a little light. I have my blue light back here that does a better job, but if I turned that off, it would keep me separated from my background instead of kind of blending in to the background. So those are both great mid-grade options.
I always I've tried it before. I can't get that behind the head look. What is the trick with that?
You almost actually have it. So if you do that with your hand again, you see a shadow there.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
because I do have a window right there. You can kind
so
of
the
see
windows act as great fill lights or hair lights, or there's a lot of names for them. Absolutely great. You don't have to buy another light. You are kind of at the whims of the weather, but it works. It acts as that secondary light. So do you need one? No. Does it help? It can. But yeah, no, I think
the depth, right? Like it's got a nice depth to the look.
Yeah. And if you want more depth, one trick is to darken your background and keep the light closer to you, and have maybe a little light in the back. I've got like little tube lights that are a lamp, and that's very, very, very dim. Keep most of the background dark, and you'll have more depth that way.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Last one, high-end light.
High-end light. Okay. I have some pictures, but they're not working. I'm just going to screen share this. This is my high-end light. A little ridiculous. This brand reached out and wanted to work with me, so they sent me some good things.
Let me bring it on here.
Yeah.
There we go.
So this is the Aperture 300D. This is my key light. They make the Amaran 100D. That's my fill light over here. These are very expensive lights. This is $1,000 light, not including softbox. The other light over here is more reasonable. It's Amaran 100D with a softbox. You're about $400. These are expensive lights. I review these. I get to work with brands to do these. But if you're setting up a professional setup, I have not seen a better light than this one for the price. I know it sounds expensive, but it really does an incredible job. So, and again, there's three of them. And then I have my RGB light back here, which is the Amaran 60X, I believe is what it is. So
yeah.
All the lights here, it's like $2,500.
All the pros and geeks out there.
Yes.
Don't worry about it if you're a beginner.
Yes. Don't worry about that. The other lights will get you plenty far.
Got it.
Yeah.
I do want to get to some of your YouTube tips because time is just flying by. And I know there's a lot of people that are interested in YouTube. You talk a lot about video podcasts, right? Why, and we're all familiar with, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. They're like audio, though Spotify is now doing video. So, but you kind of teach it around using YouTube for video podcasts. Explain a little bit about the rationale behind that first.
Yeah, absolutely. So YouTube, they just now announced podcasts. They hadn't before, but they had 25% of the podcast market share without ever focusing on podcasts. Part of the reason, if they did a couple of surveys, 60% of podcast listeners would prefer to have the video with it, which is kind of funny because I think most of us just turn off the screen or change the tab. But it's something that people want. And so YouTube is really going in. The discoverability on YouTube is absolutely amazing. And one thing that I know people don't realize is that longer content does better on YouTube. I have a video coming out maybe tomorrow. I looked at Alex Hermosi's content strategy and broke it down. Not all the things he's doing wrong, things he's doing right. But the one thing I think he's doing wrong is 1% of his videos are over an hour long. If you look at his top 30 videos across 6 different time length categories, those 5 videos have 55% of the watch time, including shorts, which have like 10 times as many views as those longer videos. YouTube likes long videos. They can show more ads, which is good for them. But it's also easier to be competitive because people are making 5 or 10-minute videos because that's easy. If you make an hour-long video to be competitive for, people watching it and for YouTube to show it, it's not nearly as hard because not nearly as many people are doing it. So video podcasts, YouTube is the best way for thought leadership, for education, anything like that.
So meaning people will turn on YouTube on their phone and then listen to it like a podcast.
Listen to a podcast. Yep. Sometimes they will watch it. But most of the video podcasts that I've seen that even do well, it's just one angle. There's hardly any editing and they just go, but it's the length. It's the value. Don't try to do a 10-minute video.
It's almost counterintuitive, right?
It is.
Because like
100%.
we think nobody's going to sit around for an hour, but those that do, they're hooked, right? They become loyal fans because they just spent an hour listening to that person with their voice in their head, right?
Yeah. Well, and actually we just had a question come in. I was about to address this. Shorts, YouTube Shorts, short content. One of, Danielle Priestley's thoughts is you have 7 hours of interaction and 11 touch points with someone before they feel comfortable, know you, like you, trust you. How many shorts does someone have to watch to get to 7 hours of interaction? Versus if you make 1 to 2 hour videos, I only have to watch a few videos before they really, really trust you. So shorts, they do help. But again, if I'm watching a 30-second video of yours and I subscribe because I like that 30-second video, I don't know that I'm going to go watch an hour video from you. I might, but the person who likes shorts probably isn't. So again, it's, do you want the quantity or the quality?
Yeah, that reminds me, I saw in the news, I don't know if it was VidCon or Vid Summit or one of those conferences where they had booths for people to meet YouTubers versus TikTokers, right?
Yeah.
So obviously long form versus short form. You know where I'm going with this, right?
I do. Yep.
And these TikTok stars, so-called, with tons and tons of followers, nobody lined up to meet them. Right? Some of them had empty lines, even though they had millions or hundreds of thousands of followers, because their content was super short, right? That's the nature of TikTok. Whereas YouTubers, like people will line up to hear them talk and meet them and get a video or photo with them. And do you think it's the length, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And even if you're only making 20, well, I say only, but only making 20-minute videos, like go think of your favorite person on YouTube, or if you don't have one, go watch some YouTube videos, and you feel like they're your friend. You feel like you know them. I can't think of a single person on TikTok that I haven't interacted with messaging, not just watching their content, that I feel like I know them or I feel like I'm their friend. But on YouTube, I can name at least half a dozen creators that I'm like, oh yeah, we're friends. I'm like, oh, I've actually never met them. I feel like I'm their friend though.
Yes.
It's the length. Yeah.
Okay. So 3 tips to get started on video podcasts on YouTube.
Yes, I love this. Okay, so number 1, start with what you have. Use your phone. Do the best you can with audio. I would buy a microphone first, but just get started. And I don't think everyone needs to have a video podcast, but I think pretty much everyone does. It depends on your goals, but it can be incredibly helpful. But this is tip number 2, like just get through kind of that sucky phase. Your first 30 to 60 videos, you really aren't going to like. I played my first video I ever made on YouTube for a group this morning, and I cringe. It's terrible. Even with the amount of money and preparation and courses and everything that I did before that first video, it's still terrible. And if you can't look 6 months back and say, oh, that's awful, you aren't improving enough. You aren't working on what you're doing enough. I still do that. I look 6 months back and I'm like, that's terrible. Why did I do that? Most people look at it and say that's pretty good, but I'm constantly improving that. So get past those 30 to 60 videos and you will be able to really impact some people. The third thing, go longer, create longer videos and worry less about editing. I am a video editor as far as my channel. I've edited, I think the longest video I edited was 30 hours for 6-minute video. But did that translate to views? No. My longer videos, my hour-long videos, which I would recommend for you, teaching your thought leadership, whatever it is, those get more views, and I edit very, very minimally because it's not about how fancy does this look. It's not about how fancy does this sound. What it's about is, am I solving the issue that the person has come to my channel to learn? And make your channel about a specific realm. Mine is YouTube podcast. I'm here to help you grow your business, your personal brand, your thought leadership, using a YouTube podcast. And so if I'm solving that issue for you, you're still here. You'll listen to an hour of us talking. But if I'm not, it doesn't matter if it's a 10-minute video. People aren't going to watch anyway. So go longer, teach more, give all of your secret sauce away, and you'll do well.
Yeah. So I do want to just clarify real quick. And folks, we are going to go past an hour. So, but
I'm good.
there's just way too much value that Zach is delivering here. So stick around. Just a quick point, because I do know that like several creators have said shorts have helped them increase subscribers on YouTube. So how does that concept, it sounds almost like it's in conflict with, go long, right? So explain that phenomenon.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, I saw Annie posted, we had the free class. I forgot, if you go to wavm.live, I have a giveaway for some Heil microphones. So if you liked the gear, you're probably going to want to be in the giveaway, because that ends today. So, but to answer that
one
question,
more time, Zach.
Yeah. So WAVM, it's like We Are Video Makers.live. So, and I posted that for Annie, so she can post it if she wants.
And we'll get that out there.
But
okay, shorts versus long. Why has shorts helped subscribers?
It helps because you get a lot of views. So, and going back to that video I made on Alex Demosi's, I'm sure he got a lot of subscribers, but he had 7.5 million views on the shorts. YouTube's pushing them. They do want people to use shorts. They're trying to, basically take TikTok over. I have my opinions on where I think YouTube Shorts and TikTok will go as far as that is, but all the data says if you post shorts, you will grow subscribers faster. The problem is YouTube is not just for subscribers. So when, a lot of people, if you look at your analytics, probably 80 to 90% of people viewing your videos are not subscribed to your channel. So YouTube is incredibly good about recommending your content, which is where you want your videos to show up, to viewers, even if they've never interacted with you. So the one thing YouTube just fixed, just barely, is it used to be that they could watch 10 of your shorts and never see one of your long form videos. It's not the case anymore. So you can get them to see 5-10 of your shorts, and they will start to see your long form, but it's the mindset. Again, going back to, if I'm watching a 30-second video, am I going to be a type of person that's going to watch a 5, 10, 1 hour video? Am I going to be the person that's going to join your course or your group or actually impact what you're doing? Likely no. They might like the short content. They might be a subscriber, but more than likely than not, it's not going to be the quality or the type of subscriber you're looking for.
I just had an aha moment. It's almost like shorts entertain, and it's like a quick fix.
Absolutely.
But if you want people to buy and trust you and sign up for your course or get your coaching, you need the long form, right? Even if it's a longer game, right?
Yep. Absolutely. And someone had a comment there. They said, take long form and create short form. And you can, absolutely. I'm not saying don't do that. But what I'm saying is, if your time, your capital, your resources, if you have to choose the long form. Don't even worry about shorts. Don't worry. Like, I would rather you make 2 1-hour videos than a 1-hour video and 25 shorts. Like, there's a bigger impact. But if you have an editor, somebody doing it for you, that is a good use of time and being able to post. But it's not as big of a deal as you think it is, at least how things are set up now and with all the data I've seen.
And I saw Nia Ho in the comments. He said one of the most popular podcaster, Joe Rogan, is like super, super long form, right? 2-3 hours of podcasts for one episode.
Yep. And people watch it.
Yes.
So.
Okay, let's get to software. Okay.
Yes.
So we've talked all the gear, all the stuff. What should people use for live streaming, for podcasting, software wise?
Yes. So my absolute favorite is Riverside.fm. There are several I've tried and I've used, and I still even have licenses to a couple places, like Restream, StreamYard, Melon. There's a couple of things that I've tried. If video podcasting is your goal, if that's what you want to be able to have guests come in, it records on the computer first and then uploads it to the internet. So what that means is you get a higher quality video and audio recording. And even if the internet has some glitches, which in streams it's bound to happen, it's still recording the high quality and uploading. It might be uploading slower because you had some glitches with the internet, but you're not left with that glitch in the actual stream. It's not free of glitches. Actually, we had a glitch on the call with me and Fanny, but it works the best as far as giving you the highest quality and allowing you to stream out to, I stream to Amazon Live, YouTube, LinkedIn, a bunch of places from there. So that's my favorite.
Riverside FM.
Riverside.
But would you say that's easy to learn for a beginner?
Yeah. They're all of the ones that I've used are fairly similar as far as like learning curve. It really is easy. But it really depends on what your goals are. I think some of they do have a community, like be able to have chats like we do here. We're using Restream. That part's not quite as intuitive, but it's still there. It still works. And I favor the quality because I know that the YouTube podcast is the most important video that I'm going to post.
Yeah, got it. Because I started off with StreamYard, which is like a very common one, but easy to understand and easy to use. And then now this stream is Restream, obviously. So just some features like the comments on the one side, and then being able to pair channels with your guests, which I love. But yeah, I know the Riverside, the quality of the video is pretty amazing.
It's all pros and cons, and this does have some pros that Riverside doesn't. So you just got to figure out what you want out of your streams.
Got it. Okay. Final question. I know we've gone over, but
that's okay.
Very high level, right? We have equipment, we have software. Real quick, the workflow, right? The process to go from recording a show like this to getting it on podcasts. What's your kind of high level flow?
Yeah. So start with start with Riverside. On Riverside, there's an editor that you're able to download different like looks basically. So I can have it full screen for whoever's talking, or we can always be split screen. So I download one of each. That way when I'm editing, sometimes I can be full screen for me or the guest, and sometimes we're split screen. I do have an editor now that takes care of this for me. But when I do this, I take those files, I put them into Final Cut Pro. That's where I edit things. And basically I go through and I clean it up a bit and make sure that it works for YouTube. Sometimes they're like, glitches, live comments came in, and just kind of editing out like, comment came in from LinkedIn, something like that. But the most important part is at the beginning, recording something to hook the audience in, because on YouTube you have 10 seconds before people are leaving. And so if it just hops into your live stream, like maybe it's a countdown, maybe something like that, people are going to leave. They're not going to stick around. And so I record and I say, today I had an amazing guest. Here's one or two things that I learned. Can't wait for you to meet them, and like hop in. So I do want to cut out not that asking people about how they got places is uninteresting, but sometimes it just doesn't matter and you're going to lose people. And so I'd rather the guest is able to share the value that they shared and not be able to tell how they got there, and just get right into it. So I hate having to do that, but because it is at the beginning, sometimes I do that. And at the end, these are two most important places, beginning and end for editing. Middle's okay. You don't need a whole lot. But at the end, I want to do something where it's like, hey, if you liked this video, which if they're watching that, clearly they did because they're all the way to the end. I also had this guest on and they talked about blank. So if you want to do, grow on LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever, you're going to want to watch them as well. And so I have an end that way. Then I export that, I send it to YouTube, and then I do some optimizations on YouTube. But the most important thing is having a good thumbnail that kind of hooks people in, and then a good title. The rest you can work on, but it's not nearly as important. So that's a high level workflow of getting from recording all the way through posting. So.
Got it. We're all just going to have to watch the replay because there's just so much value you dropped in here, Zach.
Appreciate it.
But I'm still going to pull up one last question because
let's do it.
It's an amazing one from Greg. Shout out to Greg. I also met him in boot camp, and amazing website designer. So make sure you connect with Greg here. This is a pivotal question because we can get all the equipment and the software and all that stuff correct, but then there's our mindset and our internal struggles, right?
Yeah.
Any tips for getting over the fear of streaming and putting yourself out there for an introvert?
Yeah, I like that a lot. So I would definitely call myself an introvert. Asperger's it's autism. And so you think of someone with severe autism, and social is hard. It really is hard for me. And nobody, I hope nobody on the stream would say that you seem like you don't do well with people, but it is actually really hard for me. But how I've gotten over it is, one, practice. You do hard things. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
That is
Lean
probably
into
the worst
it.
answer, but the best answer. Number two is, don't think about the 10 people or 100 people or 1,000 people that you think are going to see it. Look at your camera lens and think of the one person you want to help with that content. Just, you're talking to the one person. It's kind of hard to picture this big eyeball of a lens in front of you as a person, but it's just one person. It's just you helping them with whatever that content is. And if you mess up, like if we're having a one-on-one conversation and I mess up, it's not a big deal. Like if you're thinking 1,000 people are watching you, it seems like a big deal. But if you can just picture that one person, it becomes less of a big deal. And number three is, remember that your zone of genius, the thing that you're an expert in, it seems easy to you, but you have the curse of knowledge. You do not realize how much people struggle with this thing. If you're watching this stream, for me, cameras are easy, lighting is easy, audio is easy. Why would anyone ever hire me to coach them to post YouTube podcasts? Like, it's easy. Like, why would you do that? But for you, there's so many things you don't know, so many things you don't know that you don't know. And so you see me as an expert. That's why you're watching this.
Yeah.
People view you the exact same way at whatever it is that you do best. And so you just need to share it. Whether you're eloquent or not, whether you mess up or not, it doesn't matter, because they're there for the value. Now, there are some tricks to get people to watch longer, and that'll come with practice.
Sure.
But the most important thing is the thing you're sharing. And if you remember that, it makes it a little bit easier.
Quick shout out to Ilya. I love this quote. For those of you that are interested, I actually am working with Ilya right now to up my PowerPoint game. So those of you looking to up your PowerPoint presentations, but his quote is amazing. If you reach just one person and make a difference, you've done a great job, for sure. And I think on that note, we'll wrap this thing up, because we've gone way over. But tell people how to reach you.
Yeah.
Tell people how to connect with you and continue this dialogue with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So LinkedIn, I'd love to connect with you. Zach Mitchem on here. If you want, my YouTube it's We Are Video Makers, but you can find it, there's show notes, but at Zach Mitchem. Those are probably two best places. Enter that giveaway, the WAVM.live. I would love to give one of you guys a microphone and the free trainings. But best place is going to be YouTube. It's where I post most consistently. I also have the podcast, the Branding with Video podcast. But you'll get everything if you just follow me on YouTube.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining us. Debbie, make sure you pass in your address. We'll send that mic to you. Thank you, everyone. As always, shine your light, share your gifts, share your message, continue to give of yourself through video or live stream or video podcasts, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much. Thank you for spending time with us.